It's an ID bracelet that identifies me as an Army collaborator. In other words, a mole. Wearing one of these brings certain privileges. Among others, it's my key to getting in and out of the camp.
Go through that gate, and I'll blow your...
Do you need to get a closer look at what I have on my wrist?
Wait a minute. Look, he's got on one of those ID bracelets the camp moles wear. Those cockroaches are very useful to us in here. Lower your gun and let him leave.
You heard him. Get out of here!
So, I enter the city. It welcomes me with its most merciless and bitter grimace. What I see before my eyes is not what I expected. Doomsday made it here, too, even if no one in the refugee camp knows it yet. Damn it. The city looks as bruised and battered by the catastrophe as the rest of us. Three people warming themselves by the fire. They stare into the flames as if they're...
Hello, friend. You look lost. Come over by the fire.
It's dying down, but maybe it'll last until curfew.
As long as those uniformed psychopaths don't decide to end our little get-together first, of course.
Hey, look! One of those magic bracelets from the camp. They say that place is a real hellhole. A kind of living death. So, you've come back from the dead. Do they call you Lazarus?
Well, you could put it that way. You were saying something about a curfew. What time does it start exactly?
Well, it depends on the mood of the soldiers in this zone. But you know it's time to go home when they start taking their guns out of their holsters.
Today they're extremely jumpy. I don't think it'll be long before they start insulting people and hitting them with their rifle butts.
You guys are awfully hard on them. It's just their crude way of showing us affection.
Oh, shut up. In any case, you don't have to worry. That bracelet means you don't have to hide from them. You know, that's one of the privileges that comes with it.
And you? Do you people have to hide?
We try to stay out of their way. The first rule is, be home before curfew. Anyone who isn't gets dragged off to refugee camp. That's one of the strictest laws the Great Wave imposed upon this city.
And do you know how things are elsewhere? Do you get news from outside?
I'm afraid not. With no communications or transportation, and with the army on every corner, we are totally cut off.
Who cares anyway? When you don't know from one day to the next if you're gonna be alive, there's no time to worry about what happens 100, 1,000, or 100,000 miles away.
I understand. Why are you afraid of the soldiers?
I don't know where you heard that, friend, but whoever told you that was lying. Here, things are very ugly and getting uglier every day. Everything's in short supply: water, food, medicine.
We have a surplus of just two things: misery and violence. Life is cheap here, and getting cheaper all the time, especially since the army took over.
The army. I see. And what happened to the other authorities? The politicians? The laws?
Those are distant memories from the old world, my dear. Get them out of your head, because all that collapsed like a house of cards. Since the Great Wave, no one's got any plan, strategy. We're all adrift.
He's right. The most reliable thing we have left is what you see around the corner. Armed teenagers in uniform on the streets, on the rooftops, just as scared as we are, or more, and shooting anything that moves.
I think our common destiny is to finally die of starvation, of disease, or boredom. I don't know which of the three options I find the most cruel. Who knows? Maybe the most sensible thing is to organize a group excursion and break into Suicide Park.
It's not funny. That name's as stupid as that hospital they built in such a hurry next to it. It's crazy. And the soldiers keep those medical facilities locked up like Fort Knox.
But what good is it having medical facilities if no one can use them? I don't understand.
No one does, friend. I don't know why anyone would want to go into that building. But I can assure you that they're not going to get treated for anything in there. Not even for a miserable cold.
Besides, it's a real fortress from an overdose of gunpowder and lead. You know how it is, dear. There's no cure for love or death. Hey, I like that last phrase. It would make a good opening line for a story.
Oh, will you shut up for once, Ramon? Don't pay any attention to him. In the old world, he earned his living writing stories, and he still thinks that all that waste paper might someday be useful after the Great Wave.
And in fact, it is. A good deal of that scrap paper is fueling this bonfire right now, dear. So I can consider my literary career to have been worthwhile.
Did you say Suicide Park?
And the first dark stars come out to hang from the sky. We could sit and count them together, you and I.
When the sun departs from Suicide Park. Yes, I recognize the song. But what the hell is it? Is there really a place with that name?
Yes, it exists. After the Great Wave, and when things were starting to get really ugly here, the weakest among us eased their suffering with a bullet, by overdosing, or by jumping from high places. You know how it is. All those dark stars had a hard time finding a reason to go on living.
There was a terrible wave of suicides, and there still is.
The problem is at some point up arose. Access to grab a rope or a belt and go to Suicide Park after dark.
There was a time when it was hard to find a free branch anywhere in the park.
The suicides in the area multiplied at such a rate that the army closed down the park. They said for public health reasons.
For months, the only thing blooming in that park were the corpses of the hanged. The place became more like a theme park. Lots of fun for everyone.
I told you not to make jokes about that. Don't you have any respect for anything?
Of course not. That was one of the many things I lost in the Great Wave. And one of the things I missed the least, believe me.
Thanks for the chat.
Thanks for the company, friend.
What the hell is that old man trying to do with that enormous pair of bolt cutters?
Help me, please! Help me! Don't let them find me in the street after curfew. They'll take me to the refugee camp. Help me, please! But don't make any noise. There's a patrol just round the corner.
But what is it you need me to do?
It's almost curfew. I need a place to sleep. I need a place to hide.
What is all...
At curfew, and the way they see it, if you're out on the street, and that makes you a rat. I can't go to the camp.
You need a roof over your head, and you don't have anywhere to go.
I used to, but it doesn't exist anymore. I owned an apartment a few blocks from here. The block was badly damaged by the Great Wave, but it was still standing.
And what happened to your home?
This morning we had to evacuate the area in a hurry. We ran out in the streets with whatever we had on, and a few hours later, all that was left of my home was a pile of smoking rubble, with 40 years of memories buried beneath it. But I can't let them take me to the camp. Please, help me.
Okay, give me those bolt cutters.
This house was empty, but the army has sealed it off. If I can just get this padlock off before curfew, I'll be safe. I need to get in here. But please, don't make too much noise. If the soldiers find us, they won't hesitate to kill us.
Impossible. I'm sorry.
Get in there! I need to get in!
I'm looking for a place.
I don't really know. There's a small medical center just outside the city limits. They built it in a hurry. No one really knows what it's for, but there are vehicles going in and out of the place all the time. Whatever they're doing in there, they're keeping it very secret. Not even my daughter would tell me what goes on inside.
Did you say your daughter?
Yes, my daughter. My little Uma. She works there as a nurse. I'm afraid she left me. I suppose she got tired of living with a frail, sick old man like me. Because one day she simply left the house, and I haven't seen her since. It's been months now. I think she was right to leave me.
I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Help me, please.
It's the silhouette of the soldiers guarding the street from around the corner. It seems like those uniformed psychopaths' rifles are projected onto each and every corner of the city. The traffic in this part of the city must have been especially heavy, but now you can barely hear the sound of the few army vehicles still circulating in the surrounding areas. Judging from what remains of the stained glass windows and the murals, this pile of rubble must have been a place of worship before the Great Wave struck. Now it's one of the most badly damaged buildings in the area.
Send us a sign, Lord. We need a sign from you.
Hey, wait a minute. I know that voice.
Are we guilty of arousing your rage? Did we do it? Speak with your tongue of fire, Lord. Purge us with unrelenting justice. Send us a sign. Is this our doing? Unleash your thunderous voice, Lord. Release us from this intolerable uncertainty.
I'm getting a strong impression that man's a fanatic and a little bit deranged, but the sermon made me curious. What could he mean by, "we did it"?
The ruins of the temple, the lion above the flames. We still have time.
The remains of the stained glass window that went with the Great Wave in fact, there are still a few glass shards.
The ruins of the temple, the lion above the flames. We still have time.
The only statue in this place still standing. It's Saint... what's his name? Patron saint of... who knows what. I'm afraid that if I ever was a believer, all that information has also been blanked.
Angels through the gash. That is your sign.
This column fragment must have fallen off one of the walls during the catastrophe. Now it's keeping the pedestal of the statue company. Seated on these disarranged pews, some people are listening to the preacher. I guess they don't have anywhere else to go. I'm not going to interrupt him in the middle of his sermon.
The thunderous voice of your angels through the gash. That is your sign.
The catastrophe caused a lot of damage to the statue's pedestal. The fact that the statue is still standing is a miracle. They come from one of the church's broken stained glass windows. They're pretty and eye-catching. What was formerly the entrance to a subway stop is now a bunker reinforced with bricks and cement. A moldy sign says, "Subway service suspended until further notice." I imagine the train tunnels were flooded or ruined after the Great Wave. It's rather disconcerting to see such a small building surrounded by such extreme security measures. Could this be the medical center people have been telling me about? This fence protects the compound on all four sides. It seems like barbed wire barricades are the only architecture possible in this new world. These are the remains of the fish that used to swim around in the fountain. Ugh, the smell they give off is nauseating. You can smell these dead creatures from several yards away. I have no intention of picking up those rotten fish with my hands, to say nothing of putting them in my pocket. Judging from its girth, this giant must have lived for hundreds of years before someone got the bright idea of cutting it down. Now the stump is guarding the entrance to the park. The park is closed down. If I want to get in there... So, let's see. Impossible. It's not that it's super heavy. It's that there's hardly any place to insert your fingers to lift this manhole cover. Strange. The soil here seems darker and less packed than the soil around it. In fact, the mud in this part of the ground is a bit damp and mushy. My fingers even leave marks in it when I touch it. A piece of wood with a handwritten sign. Closed for public health reasons. Judging from the handwriting and the spelling mistake, I assume the author of the message was one of those animals in uniform. The nails that held up the sign announced they're incredibly rusty, but considering the epidemic of the dissolved, tetanus is the least of my worries at the moment.
Southside Park. Would you believe it?
This must be the famous suicide park I've been hearing so much about. Huh. The pun is as witty as it is macabre. If I want to dig deeper, this plank won't help me. I need something sharper. Good idea. I can try to remove the damp earth with these shards of glass. I've managed to excavate a little bit, but these shards of glass are too small and blunt. Maybe I need something bigger that cuts better to make a decent hole. Use this here? I prefer to hold on to it. I don't think this hand... It doesn't seem like a... I don't think I'd gain any... I'm afraid I can't...
Illuminate us with your fiery voice, Lord. Send us a sign.
Let's see. If I wedge one of the ends of the plank under the statue's pedestal, the other part will rest directly on the base of the toppled column.
The thunderous voice of your angels.
The catastrophe caused a lot of damage. This is a miracle.
That is your sign. We're waiting, Lord. Did we do it? Illuminate us. Send us a sign with your just and vengeful arm. Is this our fault? Listen! It's the fiery breath of God. The Lord has sent us his sign. And I was right. It is all our fault. We did it, and we have aroused his fury.
But what the hell's going on here?
Look, that's the sign. Forgive us, Lord. Forgive us. Repent, all ye sinners.
It's the atmospheric phenomenon I've been hearing so much about. That infernal sound coming from the crack in the sky. It's terrifying.
That is the sign. We did it! Forgive us, Lord! Forgive us! My children, God has spoken to... But there's still time. Salvation lies in the place where it all began, in the ruins, at the source. We must return to the ruins of the temple. We must return. We must.
Well, look at that. Next to this enormous hunk of glass, the colored glass shards I picked up earlier look ridiculous. I'd better get rid of them. Hello. I heard your sermon and...
Yeah, God has shown us his sign. With his thunderous voice, we did it. But there's still time. All is not lost. The head of the lion above the flames, it holds the key to everything.
But what is it we did?
Time's the will of God. It is his heart and his hammer. The centuries and the ages belong solely to him. The celestial empire is a divine clock. Time rotates around God. Its hands are his angels and archangels. Now I see it all clearly. That's what we did.
This man is definitely crazy. Nothing he says makes any sense.
I beg you, leave my brother in peace. He's very upset.
Tell me, what is it that we can still prevent?
The wrath of God, the destruction of man. There's still time. We did it, but we still have time. The key is in the ruins of the temple. We have to find the ruins of the temple. Look for the head of the lion above the flames. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames while there's still time.
But this church is already in ruins. It hardly has any walls or a foundation left. You're already in the ruins of the temple.
No, you're mistaken. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames.
That's enough. Stop tormenting my brother. He's exhausted.
The head of the lion above the flames? That sounds absurd. It makes no sense. I think it's best that I leave you in peace.
Yes, leave my brother in peace.
There's still time. Bring me the head of the...
This thick wall... Who the... I'll do this very carefully, so that the glass doesn't break in two. Perfect. The hole I've dug is big enough to get to the other side of the fence. Good God. There are dozens, hundreds of corpses hanging from the branches. What could have drawn all these people here? What kind of pain? What kind of desperation brought them here? These are the corpses of ordinary people who were living their ordinary lives in their ordinary little worlds up to a very short time ago. Could any of them have imagined meeting an end like this back then? Forgotten and nameless, swaying in the breeze like marionettes. And all those savages in uniforms did was close the park. They didn't even bother to cut their bodies down from the trees. I'm afraid that tonight, there are too many dark stars to count in Suicide Park. This vegetation is so dense that all you can see are some flattened metal posts in there. There's no doubt that nature has taken over this corner of the city. And considering its proximity to the medical center, I bet this is the continuation of the wall of trees that crosses the compound from one end to the other. Wherever I look, I see corpses hanging from these branches, some so recent that the shadows of their faces make it seem like they're following you with their gaze. I agree that violence is sometimes the shortest path between 2 points, but considering how heavy this padlock and the chain are, I'm not sure that brute force is going to help me open this door. I don't think doing this. Out of the question. It's an old rope, put in good, but the stench it gives... Better not. I don't see how I don't see any... A chain with a padlock. Let's not waste any more time on this. Can I ask you...
Sure. Can't you see that we're very busy?
What goes on inside that church? Has everyone gone completely crazy?
Are you referring to the pastor and his flock? Oh, don't pay too much attention to them. Reverend Blake is a good man. He helped a lot of people after the Great Wave. But he gradually started to lose his mind until...
Well, I stop by once or twice to listen to him preach. I try to go at this time of day. The Reverend seems obsessed with that atmospheric phenomenon in the sky, although I think he's actually just talking about himself. But the most surprising thing about all this is that he has hundreds of followers, and he's attracting more and more all the time from all over the city. And they even let him into the refugee camp once in a while to preach there. People adore him.
Why does that surprise you? Maybe it's time to start following the crazier ones.
Well, that's the most sensible thing I've heard you say all day.
On this side of the fence, the authorities have come up with their own scientific term, atypical controlled turbulence in the upper ionosphere. Though I suppose that's just a fancy way of telling us that they have no idea what the hell it was that split the sky in two after the Great Wave.
It makes my blood run cold when that aberration starts to grind out that noise like a piece of rusty machinery.
I wish those scrambled little clouds up there were the worst of our problems, dear.
Oh, shut up.
Thanks for the company, friend.
A hard, thick piece of glass. I'm glad I have it with me. A sturdy metal crowbar is a good traveling companion in this new world. They may be corroded and somewhat deformed. Let's see. I can try to rip it off. I'm afraid I'm not going... A metal sign bolted to the... And from what I can see... Maybe with the help of the crowbar, I can get the subway sign off the wall. Damn it! I've managed to tear it down, but the subway sign is broken in two. A subway sign split in two. That's what happens when you try to rip something off a wall without the right tools. Why would I want to do... It's useless. I doubt I'd accomplish anything The subway sign is already broken in... The crowbar fits perfectly into the hole in the manhole cover. Wait a minute. I'm not going to climb down any further. It's totally dark in there, and it would be crazy to go into these sewers without any light. These are the remains of the... Ugh. I'm gonna need something that cuts better to hack a path. If I want to hack a path through this wall of vegetation, I'll have to use something that cuts better than this piece of glass. That wouldn't... Out of... What used to be a round subway sign is now two halves of a metal disc. One of the many dark... Although the crows have already done... From what's left, I'd say that the corpse belongs... It's impressive. The park was... The metal bars became like plasticine, molded by the whims of the vegetation. I can't see any entrance for pedestrians from here, which would seem to indicate that you can only get inside the compound through that barrier.
This entrance is reserved for authorized motor vehicles only. Get away from it. Move on.
What the hell? Those savages don't get around. I'd better avoid getting too close to that area, at least on foot.
I need to get...
Okay.
This house was... If I can just get this... I need to get in here. But please, don't make too much... If the soul...
Impossible. I'm sorry. I can't do anything with this.
I need to get... Help!
I'm not going to give it to anyone. It doesn't look like... I don't quite see how... Use this. I agree that violence is fucking. I'm not. I prefer to hold. I don't mean to bother you, but could I ask you a few questions?
Hey, it seems like we have a nosy rat.
I won't.
Get.
It doesn't seem like. I don't think I. Attack those soldiers? That would be a great way to commit suicide. I'll make a mental note in case the time comes for that. Hello, Miss.
I still am. That's all I can do at this point. Don't...
I should be... I'm afraid I can't... Someone placed a bunch of those... Ugh. Oh, Jesus.
Hi, Mike. So what brings you here?
Do the words Beechwood Oracle mean anything to you?
No. Sorry, dude. Doesn't ring a bell. What is it? Some kind of riddle or play on words?
I don't know. Someone told me about it, and I'm curious. That's all. I should be going now.
Fine, Mike. Remember, dude, no questions asked.
The speaker is cranking.
Hello again. What can I get for you?
I'm not... Someone... What for? I'd only end up denting the metal of the drums. Out of the question. I could tie the rope around one of these barrels, but what for? Each one weighs a ton. It doesn't look like it. I don't quite see how it... Use this here? No matter how hard I try, puncturing the metal of the drums with the... With this, I'd only be able to... What for? Overflowing, dirty, and infested with flies. This would be Diogenes' dream shopping cart. It's bolted from inside. Rod and his family have bolted it from the other side. Once more, I don't think I can force... I'm not going to snuff out this oil lamp. Okay, let's see if I can open this. Got it. Let's see. I'm sure that if I tug on it a little... Good. The upholstery came off along with one of the elastic bands that was holding it to the seat. With the cover removed, that seal... It's the scrap of fabric that was used as a seat cover in the abandoned car. Dirty, damp, and mildewed. I'm afraid it's seen better days. It serves its purpose to a T. If you stretch it in both directions, the band becomes longer. And if you release it, well, I'd better not do that. I don't think you do... This better not. This scrap of why would I want to do this elastic? That would, although both objects, this elastic, I can't use these. I don't think I'd gain anything. I'm afraid I can't. I'm not going to give it to anyone. This streetlight is several feet off the ground. This streetlight is several feet off the ground. What for? Too many things in my life. What for? What for? No. The fish would end up dissolving and getting spread out all over the surface of the seat cover. It doesn't look like it's happening. I don't quite see how I could... A pretty fountain. In its day, it must have been home to a school of goldfish, which I suppose are now gradually decomposing inside it. This enormous stone cross casts a giant shadow across the aisle of the church. Perhaps that wasn't the original intention. Excuse me. What's...
The dark angels of God, haven't you heard? They were speaking with a thunderous voice. That is his sign.
I suppose in his delirium, the man has mistaken that strange sound coming from the gash in the sky left by the great wave as a sign from the heavens. He's definitely lost his mind.
Please be so kind as to leave us in peace. Can't you see that my brother is very agitated?
We did what?
We sully, and that only he can reign. Only he can reign. And now he is enraged. That's what we...
I assume you're referring to the atmospheric phenomenon in the...
No! That made the gears of the gates of hell grind. And now they're opening up like a festering wound. That is his sign.
Excuse me, but I don't think that was a divine sign.
We've lacerated the sacred skin of the shroud God enveloped us in. We've betrayed him. We've stabbed him with our infinite arrogance. And you can see the mark etched on the heavens. Through that gash, Lucifer has shattered our name from on high. Satan is calling each and every one of us by name. Can't you hear it? That... Each cycle is a fluorescent gust of... He reigns over the days. And we are just instants. That's what...
I think...
Yes.
There's spring...
Oh, my head! What the hell's going on? Oh, God! My head feels like it's gonna explode!
Michael, please.
A pool of blood gives me the chills.
Hello, Michael.
You did a very good job with your mission. I owe you.
Yes, our dad would be proud. Are you going to give us a reward, Michael?
Of course. You deserve it.
Yeah!
I have to get going. Those boys are expecting some type of reward for, and I don't think they're gonna find this. This scrap of tattered. Those boys are expecting, and I don't. Those boys. I'm not gonna pick them up. I'm sure it took. Besides.
Did you bring me what?
No, not yet.
Then get out of my sight and don't come back here without that morphine from... There'll be a fat wad of...
Yes. Better not. I have no... I prefer to hold on to it. The nails that held up the sign, and they're incredibly rusty. But consider... It looks like there are some chiseled stone structures sticking out of the water. What are they? The remains of columns, perhaps? And what are they doing sunk here in the middle of nowhere? It seems like a small fragment of one of them is loose. As dead as that tree is, it still looks strong enough to tie the rope to. Before I go down, I'll leave the heavy stuff here, in case the rope doesn't support my weight. Underneath the surface, there must be many more of these stone things I see sticking out. No doubt they're the remains of a structure. It seems like a small fragment of one of them is loose. A small piece of sculpted marble. It's the head of an animal above what looks like flames. Could it be a lion's head? I'll get my stuff. A few yards away, I can see a great mass of trash, mud, and plant matter that accumulated in there in the years since this water outlet was last cleaned. Ugh. Even from here, I can smell the stench coming from inside. Impossible. It's beyond my reach. Impossible. It's beyond my... Use this. Nothing can be done here. I don't think I'd gain anything by you. The head of the lion above the flames. I think this must be yours.
The head of the lion! The head of the lion above the flames!
The ruins of the temple still exist. Salvation is still possible. We can prevent it. We can still prevent it. Don't you understand? The annihilation of time. The wrath of God for our arrogance. There's still time. I have to return to the ruins of the temple. I have to go back to the ruins of the temple.
Wait a minute! Whew. There's no question in my mind. This man is a complete lunatic. When Reverend Blake ran out, he dropped it. This man seems... Reverend Blake's cross. A stick with a very, very striking shape. So, let's see. I just made a primitive homemade slingshot. It's a powerful home. I don't know if it's intuition or what little is left of my memory, but I have a hunch that I was extremely clumsy with these kind of things. I don't think doing... No matter how hard... Better not. They could be the perfect projectile, but these nails would end... Besides, something tells me I'm not... No matter how hard I try,